All right, GM, ladies and gentlemen. As I get a little bit better with StreamYard, we're going to go ahead and I am having an issue with one of the destinations. I'll get it figured out another time. But as I get better at figuring out StreamYard, we will go ahead and have better intros, all that stuff. It's on me right now for not having the intro music and all that stuff available. The other thing too, the only reason why this stream is a little bit late right now, I just spent like the past half hour with Spicy trying to figure out how exactly to get, like, I love one of the things about Streamlabs that I love is you can just have whatever background music is on your desktop audio playing seamlessly. So it's really easy to have Spotify just running in the background and for that to pick up and to be able to play. With StreamYards, you have to do it through a tab. So I was trying to do it through one of the tabs up there, and it just unfortunately sounded like trash. So we're going to figure that out another day. But for now, welcome to the Council of the Bulls. Anybody that wants to join the stream, feel free to drop a comment, give an at. I can send a link out. But you know, prices are green on the day. Something that we haven't seen for a little while. We've seen a little bit of a pullback over the course of the past hour or so. But either way, you know, alts are finally starting to show little signs of life. It just, Rich, it feels like things are slowly waking up a little bit.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. I was really excited this morning. Everything was pumping like crazy. MSTR was up 6% almost. Coin about the same. Now we're seeing some pullback to 92. It went up to 90, almost 91,000 for Bitcoin. But yeah, overall, I think that people were just selling off before the new year.
Yeah, you know, we had people, the tax loss harvest for the new year that was, though I'm going to pull up the chart real quick, Bitcoin, because I'm just praying this time's different. You know, if you look at it, this has been one of the most painful ranges I've seen in a while. We've seen ranges like it before, but just BART after BART after BART after BART, the amount of chop within this where there's some type of fake pump, pullback, fake pump, pullback is pretty insane. So it looks like it's barely breaking its head out right here. I'm hoping that's enough. You know, there are a few other breaks that I could go through, and I'll talk about the chart more later. But, you know, one of the things I'm encouraged about too is Bitcoin is finally outperforming assets that it has been bleeding against over the course of the past several months. Like silver's a perfect example, right? Silver's been one of the hottest assets out there, basically straight down for Bitcoin since the middle of August versus silver. And it is bouncing here right off high time frame support dating back to both the FTX crash dip and the COVID crash dip. So, you know, I don't know, man. I think we might be able to see a V reversal here. It is the time to rotate back into Bitcoin if you are in precious metals.
Yeah, I think that COVID timeframe, that was really when a lot of investors first got into investing. Like if you look back and think about Robinhood and everything that went down with Robinhood, even in GameStop, and like how people basically couldn't sell positions or couldn't take profit on certain things. And that was the first time where retail investors really were able to get in. I remember I was playing Fortnite and there was kids who were 13 and 14 telling me, yeah, what should I buy? What am I getting into? And that was really the first time I was like, okay, yeah, this is going to send, right? But this time around, I really don't know if there's that same interest. I think that a lot of people are like, over the last year, are kind of like tired.
But man, again, like being around this for long enough, I've heard that so many times before. You know, I heard that after 2017, where everybody was like, man, you had GM Bren, you had a lot of people back then that were saying everything's dead and gone. We're not coming back. Like, we had our pump. And you could look at it on the federal level also. Politicians didn't care about Bitcoin past that point because they didn't think it was a threat. They saw the way it bled back down immediately. The majority of other assets and crypto along with it. If you want to talk about a crypto winter where nothing was really happening, talk about early 2019. Talk about the very beginning of 2020. It was as dead as it gets. And again, you look at the heart of the bear market after FTX last cycle. Again, people were like, man, everything is rinsed. We're gone. There was a little bit of life back, but energy was bleeding in the trenches. And we saw resurgence past that. So I'm just saying, I have seen the script happen over and over again. And the narrative is the same every time. It's like, why would retail ever come back to this? Especially when you see equities performing the way they are. Why would anybody ever come back to it? And each and every time, people inevitably do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway, man, I mean, like, I know it's just a little baby bounce that we're looking at right now. Like, this isn't anything crazy yet, but you can look at some assets. Like, we go over here to Pepe. The Pepe chart's pretty insane so far with it bouncing back. There are a few other memes that are doing something similar as well.
Wait,
but
what's Pepe's all-time high? Delete that white chart.
Yeah, deleting everything, man. There's some things on here you're like, I don't want to see that anymore. RIP. So Pepe's all-time high, like, shoot, about a little over 4x from here.
But I mean, honestly, it didn't dip as bad as I thought it would have, all things considered.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's a lot of tokens that, I mean,
well, it looks a lot better whenever you take it off, or a lot worse whenever you take it off log chart. So,
yeah.
When you're looking at the linear, it doesn't look quite the same. Also, trying to see. I'm going to go back to us real quick. But yeah, man, no, I think there's a lot of room to be optimistic about this year, man. It just is like, I still just don't believe that we've seen all the real signs of a true bull market yet. I get that Bitcoin bounced, 4x, 5x from its lows, right? But when you look at a lot of the other majors, we just didn't really see, I think, what are a lot of the characteristics that you typically see in a real bull market, especially given the regulatory. Dude, also, how do you remove some of these comments down in the bottom corner? I don't know why it's distracting me, just leaving them up there. And
would
also,
you rather it be like that?
Yeah, I kind of like the chat just going like that in the corner.
Cool. So I have a question. What are your thoughts on, did you see Nick's video on MSTR? He came out with it yesterday.
Nick who?
I can't remember his last name. Nick from Bodagos.
No, I did not see it.
Can you pull that up real quick?
About Schnoznick. Choose rich.
He just said I bought into the MicroStrategy Ponzi. And yesterday he was coming out with a video talking about MicroStrategy stock is on the verge of collapse. Oh, that's so funny.
Here, I'll pull it up.
He's the biggest advocate for anti-MSTR because I'm sure he's got burned like 95% of the world. And honestly, I wish I had the balls to say everything he's saying. And I think Michael Saylor he's a great visionary. He has great ideas, but I genuinely don't feel like am I sharing my screen?
I'm sharing mine.
Oh, you are? Okay. Feel free to press play on MicroStrategy stock is on the verge of collapse if you want. It's underneath.
Sustainable. That said,
nope, not that one.
Which one? Let's see.
Right there.
Here, unless of course you're a MicroStrategy holder, in which case you're getting absolutely wrecked at the moment. I wanted to make this video to just quickly address some key bullets about the current situation going on with MicroStrategy stock specifically. One, right now it's trading at a 30% discount to the underlying Bitcoin.
Oof.
That's just the fact of the matter. The next bullet would be why, and there's a couple of pieces associated with that. One, Bitcoin is not a productive asset. I've mentioned this repeatedly on multiple videos. There's no way to actually generate yield on Bitcoin currently. Maybe Michael Saylor figures out a way to do it, but his only way of generating additional income or cash flow has been from issuing new securities like STRC, which last night he announced the interest rate is now 11%. However, I don't know why that would make you want to buy MSTR anymore. The other thing is you can't redeem your stock, your MSTR stock, into actual Bitcoin. Now, nobody ever expected that that was the case. However, at this point in time, Michael Saylor has only two options. One, he could sell Bitcoin to buy back his stock, which is the right move on a financial basis in general, unless, of course, the Bitcoin will be worth more in the future. So you might as well just sit and wait if you're Michael Saylor, which is what he's doing right now. But at some point, you got to think, how low can this stock go relative to the underlying Bitcoin that they...
So basically what he's talking about is the MNAV here, right? Like the multiplier for the value of the assets they're holding versus the value of the stock itself, the value of the company itself. And, you know, again, it's one of the things we looked at with the DATs recently. A bunch of the ETH DATs were kind of forced to sell because it's, from a financial perspective, like he said, it makes sense when the value of the asset that you're holding is worth more than the shares. Your shares are basically trading at a discount. So it makes sense to sell the asset to then be able to buy back shares of the company. And from on paper, it's the best thing to do for your shareholders. But really, where I think like the DAT bubble, where it collapses at the end of the day, is the fact that like the whole thesis of these companies is that the value of those assets is going to go higher. So they stack them because they believe that they're going to go higher. So they want to be a treasury in that sense for that and give people exposure to these assets. So when they sell them, guess what? If people still don't have confidence in the company itself, because you were one, putting pressure on the price of the assets, two, you're kind of shaking the core belief of stacking them in general, especially somebody like MicroStrategy. If they started selling it all, the amount of pressure that that would put as far as shaking people's trust in the like the reason why people are holding on is because they're like, man, MicroStrategy is hodling. They're not going to get rid of it. But if they start touching their Bitcoin at all, even if it financially makes sense, I think it would completely crater them. The MNAV would never recover. I think right now their only hope of the MNAV ever getting back to a higher multiple is just Bitcoin bouncing and holding on. So yeah, it doesn't make the best sense financially right now for them to do what they're doing. But I think from just when you start to think logically about it, it's their only real choice. I think their only real hope as far as keeping the Ponzi going, because it's the same type of thing. The reason why they've been able to issue so many more shares and to be able to buy all this Bitcoin, you see the $100 million purchase here, the $100 million purchase there. The reason why they were able to do that for the longest time is because MNAV was higher, right? Whenever the stock is higher than the value of the asset, they're able to basically sell more stock to be able to kind of recoup that, you know, closer to that 1-to-1 ratio. And they have more capital to be able to stack more Bitcoin. And it's just one of those things. Again, it works as long as everything goes up. It reminds me so much of the Luna UST combo. Like the people that have made that comparison, for me, it took a while for that to really click. But at the end of the day, it really does make sense. Like, I just don't see how it's a sustainable model. I don't see it collapsing yet. I don't. But I do think that within sometime in the next few years, we're going to see a major DAT bubble collapse. I just, I don't think it's yet. I don't think it's yet, but I think it's going to happen.
Can I ask something? Why do you think every single week for I don't know how many months it was, there's another orange dot on the chart? Why, knowing that their price has gone down from $470 all the way down to now $150, why would he keep saying, oh, I'm just going to keep buying more Bitcoin, diluting more shares, and hurting
He has to.
Why?
He has to keep buying.
Why?
Because it is the whole strategy of the company is to keep stacking more Bitcoin. It's part of the Ponzi.
I get that, but that's what I'm saying. At this point, what makes an investor say, all right, well, yeah, I'm going to keep holding if every single time you're just going to keep diluting my shares?
I think there are some people that have somehow become so delusionally, they worship the main character that is Michael Saylor. They have worshipped Michael Saylor more than they worship Bitcoin, which Saylor, the reason why he has gotten to this point is because he believed in Bitcoin, right? He believes, but like I'm telling you, it is this main character worship of Saylor himself, where there are some people that are so delusional that they are more bullish somehow on MicroStrategy than they are Bitcoin itself. So I just think there are some people out there, and there's some people that look at the discount and they're like, oh shoot, it is trading at a discount right now. If they're bullish on Bitcoin, you're like, man, why wouldn't this company bounce back? So I do think that there's a little bit of that that's going on as well, because they're like, you know, it's trading at a discount. Now's better time than ever to be able to buy this stock. I just think eventually it's like, you know, I could get into the numbers later. I sat down one day and I started just looking at it. Once it starts falling, and I mean like free falling, and say that Bitcoin doesn't get a bounce. Once people lose trust in the company, it doesn't really matter what the MNAV is. It doesn't matter how many times they sell and rebuy stock. People can keep selling, and eventually like just starts cratering lower towards zero. When will that happen again? I think that's years later. I think right now the Ponzi of the Ponzi of the DATs is going to keep pumping. You know, as long as Bitcoin and ETH recover, they make that move back toward all-time highs, and they start printing again, these Ponzi's will keep printing again. I would just stay away from it. It's like, if you're bullish on Bitcoin and ETH, buy Bitcoin. Don't buy MicroStrategy. Don't buy one of these other DATs, because you will constantly be diluted on every single pump.
And that's what I was going to say is, who's giving them this money? Like, how is he finding this many people that are just giving him money?
I mean, again, a lot of it has come back toward when you look at like, whenever they had the MNAV higher, whenever the stock was trading higher than the value of the Bitcoin itself, it made sense to be able to sell the Bitcoin, to be able, or not sell the Bitcoin, to be able to sell more shares of the stock, to be able to then buy Bitcoin. The discount made sense for the people that were doing that were investing in it, but it falls apart right now where that multiplier is lower. So like, again, I don't know where right now he's coming up with like these crazy, I haven't looked into the most recent thing that he put out there, but the 11% yield on whatever new stock, whatever new shares of strategy that are out there. And I don't care what anybody says about, hey, here's how it actually works. When there's that type of yield, I think what I learned with FTX back in the day is, when you don't know where the yield is coming from exactly at a certain point, like, you are the yield. So, I mean, that's my one warning. I'm incredibly bullish on Bitcoin. I'm not as bullish on MicroStrategy, right? Like, I don't think it collapses yet. I do think years from now, though, it could be a huge domino on a level larger than what we saw with FTX whenever things do kind of fall apart with DATs. I don't think we're quite there, but I mean, years from now, I do think that's coming.
Yeah. Man.
Speaking of FTX.
Yeah, speaking of FTX.
Okay, one thing real quick. I want everybody to do that's on the stream, if you haven't done it yet, go over to my profile on this one right here. Throw it a like, throw it a not a retweet. Yeah, throw it a retweet. Go ahead, give me a comment too. You can say whatever you want on there. I think the more people in these things, the more fun.
We just have to catch up to Pat McAfee. That's all we need.
How many people does McAfee have on his stream right now?
He has 14.1K. And then it's Magic
14?
Eden with 5K. And then right now I think you have 2.8K.
That's not too bad. And also, if you're not following Spicy Rich, go ahead and give my man a follow as well. Okay. You've done both of those things. You've done well. I want to look also at the Bitcoin gold ratio right now. So I brought this up the other day. One of the things too I'm looking at for this ratio is just a reclaim. I really think that, yes, I know I'm not one of those guys to really cut the wicks, but if you really look at the trend for this, that wick from COVID, I'm sorry, I'm cutting it. And I think where the real acceleration happens is the reclaim right around here. I think the bottom is in for it though. Bitcoin, I think, continues to print and run it back in a V-shaped pattern. I'm still bullish on gold and I'm still bullish on silver. I just think that Bitcoin from here is going to be the stronger asset. Mm-hmm. Where it really accelerates again is here. You know, I need to look and see exactly what the price of Bitcoin is for that, somewhere over 100K. But it's coming, man. I
mean, how long has it been sitting at that 88K range?
For well too long.
Probably the last month, right? Since November, I think 10th or something. It's been in that like 88 to 92K range. Respect Others says, speak about Dogecoin, Pengu, and Pepe, please.
Dude, I'll get to all the above.
Pepe. We did just speak about Pepe.
Yeah, we did.
But yeah, of course, like you said, we'll get to that.
I don't know, man. I think structurally, looking at ETH right here, I don't care what anybody says. ETH is not irrelevant. The majority of L2s that are out there still run on ETH. You know, you look structurally at the last run, and can you hide that comment? Got the markup here, distribution at the top, markdown, accumulation. Next cycle, here you have the markup, right? Distribution at the top, markdown, and accumulation. I just see it as an extended base. I think it looks incredibly similar. You know, incredibly similar for that first part. You know, again, incredibly similar here. You can look at the peaks, the troughs, the major sell-off, you know, accumulation right before the run higher. I think that's where ETH is right now as well.
You really think ETH could go to 20K within this next bull
I don't
run?
know if the next, I think it could, man. I know it sounds crazy to a lot of people. I think 10K plus is a pretty easy target still, but I don't see how you can look at this structure and say, man, the top is in, it's over. I think it just looks incredibly similar to what we saw the last time. Like this right here does not look like a bull market to me. And this is the leading alt, right? The leading alt is Ethereum. Whether you want to believe it or not, it is the king of alts. As ETH goes, the rest of the alts go as well. The rest of the majors, at least. I inevitably believe ETH is going to have that next markup. It is going to have that price exploration. Yeah. It's not going to just barely hit the all-time highs and go back.
I mean, I'm honestly surprised ETH still hasn't hit 10K. Like, I would have thought that would have hit 10K a few years back, considering everyone uses it. I honestly don't know that many people that actually hold Bitcoin. Like, I do buy Bitcoin and I hold it, but I think that the way, if you're active in crypto, it's constantly like people selling assets to buy other things, and but with ETH, I feel like people always have it in their wallet.
Yeah. I mean, a lot more of the dApps that you have, again, they're ETH based, whether an ETH is on Base, Arbitrum, whatever it is, they're ETH based. And I still think the return to mainnet push that we're seeing right now is going to have some fruit, some results. I mean, if you look at, like, let's see, what is the current oh my. You back?
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry, what happened?
No, I have no idea. It's probably my connection somehow. But yeah, the gas price for ETH right now, 0.069 Gwei. 0.069. Like back in 2021, 2022, I thought 69 Gwei was cheap. Like I was pulling up. I remember whenever we launched Stonks as a free mint, we launched it when we did because we thought gas was low at the time because it was beneath 70 Gwei.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it's sitting at 0.07 right now.
So the all-time highest average daily gas price on Ethereum was around 200 to 224 Gwei.
Yeah. It was back during the ape, the land, whatever mint. But yeah, point being, it is 1/1000th of the cost to transact on ETH right now.
It's a historical
from what
low.
We used to think was cheap.
Yeah, it is crazy.
Like ETH right now is a cheap chain to transact on. It's one of the things a lot of people didn't see coming, but I mean, I guess it kind of speaks a little bit toward the state of the trenches, but I also think that it shows a little bit of viability that, there is room right now, I think, for some apps to be able to launch on mainnet. I think that we're at a higher state of efficiency right now than what we've seen previously. I just think, again, it just makes sense to me still that we are going to see another major ETH run. As crazy as that sounds.
So going back to Wonky Stonks, how much money do you think that you made would you do it on OpenSea?
Nothing.
No, I'm not saying you. I'm saying for those fees that were generated. Like back in 2021, how much do you think they were
making?
Do you mean? Just off the Gwei?
Are you talking about like
I'm talking about in fees, how much do you think in 2021 they were banking? If it was $200 in gas fees.
Well, that goes back toward, so the way that works is as gas fees are accumulated, since the merge, the gas fees go back toward buying and burning ETH for the majority of it, right? Like,
okay.
So at that point in time, that wasn't there. So the gas fees went toward, miners, validators, etc. Right? Like, so it's, again, when you look at that from that point of view, whenever you have higher gas, higher Gwei, it just means that there's going to be more ETH that is burned as a whole. So if you, for
those of you who don't know, I'm still newer to crypto. So that is like why I'm asking most of these questions. It's for all of you who are like me, who don't know as much.
Okay, we're going to go here and I'll just show you, since the merge, this is basically the way it works. Again, more expensive gas means that ETH tends to be deflationary, right? Like the supply decreases as a whole because the new issuance that is given towards stakers as a reward, the yield, is outpaced by the amount that is burned via gas. So right now, where you don't have very high gas fees, the issuance to stakers, that yield is outpacing by far the amount that is like being burned, because there's not much being burned. If there's not much on-chain activity, there's just not much being burned. So if you look at this, we'll go to.
But they set the fees.
The network sets the fees, right? Like, so it's a supply demand thing. It happens by itself.
Gotcha.
The more competition, basically, imagine as far as, if you want to send a transaction on ETH, there's only so much block space.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, no, dude, these are good questions though, because I think a lot of the people that are listening to this probably honestly don't know themselves. So like,
but this just makes me realize that there's no one transacting right now.
Yeah, no, but I mean, this is like good to explain, because I think a lot of people just kind of use this stuff and they're not really sure how it works. So it's good info to be able to have on the back end. And I do enjoy talking through it. So like, keep asking the questions. So basically, you have X amount of block space. Every single block space can only fit so much data, so many transactions. Whenever things are ultra competitive, it costs more to be able to get priority for your transaction to go. So whenever you had these NFT mints back in the day, people would pay higher gas prices, because a higher gas price, the more you're willing to pay to be able to get, the more priority you get to go to the front of the line. So if you paid a higher gas price, you end up getting the opportunity to be the first one to that mint, the first one to be able to buy that new coin that is on Uniswap that's hot, that so-and-so talked about, or that was just dropped. Whenever you don't have activity on chain, whenever there are not these sexy new mints that are coming out, whenever people aren't competing to do stuff like that, gas inherently is just lower because there's no competition. It's like the blocks are way emptier, right? People don't mind if it takes a little bit longer. So yeah, you end up with this. And again, a lot of the activity right now with ETH has been siphoned off over to these other L2s from the nature of the way that they wanted to scale initially. So these L2s they're a little bit more centralized. Because they're more centralized, they're cheaper to transact on. And then they end up settling back on the main chain. And when they do, they settle and they pay X amount every time they do. But it is a fraction of what the actual chain would generate if those transactions all happened on ETH itself. So there are some things that are being tweaked right now where they're incentivizing people to come back and develop more on the main chain to bring more activity on. But I mean, if you just look at kind of the overall since the merge from the beginning there, September 2022, the very beginning, there was still enough activity all the way through April of 2024. April 2024, you look at this right here. From there on, there just hasn't been enough activity to really outpace it. So you've seen inflation in the ETH supply. Again, whenever activity picks back up, should be a little bit of a reversal. But overall, 900,000 new ETH total since the merge. But there was a point where that was negative 500,000 ETH a little over a year ago. So that's a swing of 1.4 million ETH. Additional supply that exists. 1.4 million ETH. I mean, you're talking about right now with ETH being 3,100. Like, that's an extra shoot. You're talking about $4.3 billion worth of just supply that exists total. And I get it. The market cap is $360 billion. So it's only a little over 1% of the total supply. But I mean, it still makes a difference, right? If you look at the ETH chart back here, let's see, April of 2024, what was happening? What was happening whenever things peaked or kind of reversed? Yeah, ETH was having a little bit of a run. I wonder what ETH BTC was doing. April of 2024 was kind of the last, right around like the last time where we really saw ETH BTC back in that 0.056 range. And again, this whole move down here coincided with this whole move up here. You know, but again, we've seen ETH start to catch up. I really think it's just a matter of time before we start to see that reverse back down. I think like if you're a builder and you want to like launch a new project on ETH, honestly, now is the time. If you honestly, the other thing too, if you're a collector, I believe NFTs are eventually going to come back. And if you want to buy NFTs without being taxed, like, dude, you can buy an NFT right now for like an extra, you know, it costs maybe $1 of gas, not even that, like probably 50 cents worth of gas to be able to buy it. So you can buy these super cheap NFTs right now that in another market condition would not be worth buying. You can sweep these floors that like when ETH activity picks back up, it won't make as much sense. And then the return that you have to get as far as how high they have to go to be able to make your money back on the sale, way lower. So like, I really think, honestly, NFTs are probably a really good play right now. Looking at the way ETH prices are, like you can say that's ridiculous, but there are a lot of floors that I think eventually are going to spike back up that like now, if you're a crazy degen gambler and you want to be able to look at something speculative as a high beta play on the underlying asset itself, I think NFTs are there.
So just to read one of the comments from the chat, Agadoo says, to be fair, there's also been a number of improvements to the actual ETH protocol, making gas fees in general cheaper and more efficient. So you can't compare 2021 to today, like for like.
Yeah. No, completely agree, Agadoo. Like there have been, and that's why I'm saying, you know, we can spend another day talking about each one of the improvements and exactly what was done with each, but point being, it has made it easier to build on the mainnet as well, right? Like, so I think they have made it more attractive for activity to be able to return to the mainnet. And I think as more of that activity returns, you're going to continue to see this increase in bullish sentiment around ETH as well.
And then another person, Philip, says that additional ETH in the ecosystem has been what kept ETH value lower the last 2 years.
Here's a additional here. Read it again.
The additional ETH in the ecosystem has been what kept ETH value lower the last 2 years, is what they said.
I mean, I think that's part of it, right? Like you have the additional supply that's being able to flood it in with it. People are looking to be able to sell their yield, and you know, it is extra pressure that wouldn't be there otherwise. But I mean, you know, that's the nature of something that is ranging, right? Like, you know, if I go back to ETH here, I don't look at an asset that is collapsed, that's on the verge of collapse. I look at higher lows that are constantly being formed. You know, I look at a healthy base, and the longer and stronger the base, the higher and longer the pump. So I still look at this and I don't see an unhealthy structure. Like I just don't see how this is something that is worthy of freaking out right now. I think it's something that's worthy of being a little bit
zoom in a little bit
and play.
I know everyone always says zoom out. I'm just
so people that are zooming in, they see this and they're like, dang, that looks awful. You know, that's painful. It looks like it's going to collapse. How is this sustainable? Again, I think that's the issue. Too many people are just zooming in rather than zooming out. Like zooming out structurally, dude, this looks incredible. So my take, my 2 cents.
Yeah. So that's, I mean, talking about bases, you know, one of the comments says, I may have missed this, but how important is base to ETH? Or did you just address that? Are you talking about base as in?
They're talking about the base chain, L2.
Okay.
by Coinbase. So the better question is, how important is Base to Coinbase? Because
Bitcoin's pulling back.
I mean, it is what it is. The real question is, how important is Base to Coinbase? Because Base, for Coinbase, dude, they're generating a crap ton of fees, or they have in the course of the past like couple years plus. That's why they're going to continue to build. They don't need the Base coin. They just need your fees paid to them rather than paid to ETH itself. Like, I think Base is going to be big by nature of Coinbase because Coinbase is going to continue to incentivize people to use it. They want people to build on Base because they just want your fees. It's that simple. They don't have to do anything with your fees right now to provide value for some token. It's easier for them not to have a token and not to airdrop it, not ever to worry about it. Because again, as long as people are using that protocol, all of the fees that are paid to Base basically go to Coinbase's pocket right now, rather than some random distributed validator that's on there. Like, Coinbase doesn't charge me gas, bro. They're micro fees. There are gas fees on Base. And you look at it, I forget how many hundreds of millions of dollars that they printed so far in protocol revenue, but it's just a really easy way for them, in my opinion, to be able to scale their business as a whole without having to, have transactions on. I need to look up what overall Base revenue was for the past couple of years or past year and a half, whatever it's been. But I mean, it's hundreds of millions of dollars they brought in. I think it's more than what they put into it by, and it's something that if you see a real bull market, it's going to continue to scale higher.
I mean, I wonder why, like, obviously I know things are volatile every single day, right? But I wonder what's causing Bitcoin to just plummet right now. I know it just shot up.
Plummet right now, bro. Again,
I know it just shot up.
5-minute chart.
I know it just shot up.
Chart. This is the mental illness that people have, is saying, "Oh, it's plummeting again." It's like, bro, again,
I'm just saying, like, what causes that?
Here,
like, obviously we just had a big pump up. I know. I'm just saying, what is this pullback right now?
Yeah, I don't think it matters. Like, I'm not gonna like even validate this as a pullback. It's just a range, man. It's just like choppiness that you get within a range. A few $100 is a few $100. I think, like, I was looking, I think one of the best people that I don't want to pull that up. We're gonna go over to Loma. Let's see what Loma has to say. Because I think this is really valid. Been telling my friends to be patient and not trade during these lulls in the market. You're either going to be trading 1 to 2% chop conditions on Bitcoin or 100% candles on pump and dumps, neither of which are advantageous for most traders. Problem now is that it's been months, and at this point, I just sound like an extremely broken record because, like, it has been months of being in this range. It's been months. Like, some of the best thing that you have to do in crypto is just be able to sit on the side, be able to like focus on other things other than what's happening in the 5-minute candle. Like, I enjoy the 5-minute candle; it's fun. But I don't look at this and be like, oh, dang, man, like Bitcoin just lost 90K again. We're screwed. It's over. I know that's not what you were saying, but it's just like, I don't look at this as a dump, as a crater back, man. This is all just noise. Dude, yeah, like Bren said, there doesn't have to be a catalyst for every single move, right?
No, it makes sense. No, I was just curious. Yeah, I mean, like, you tell me. You were trading in 2021. I wasn't trading like you were. But when you look at those massive candles where it's just up and then right back down, like the liquidation event on 1010, for example, those type things. Were you seeing that back in 2021?
Yeah, like this right here reminds me of May of 2021. Like this type of move. Like, let me go to May of 2021. I think that I've got enough hour charts that I can, let's see if the data goes back that far for the TradingView, whatever the most premium subscription for TradingView is. But I think that you'll see one that's very similar here in a moment, just off the top of my head. I mean, there's December 2021, right? Like that was, one example, something similar where it just went bled off. May of 20.
Again, this is just coming from me, someone who's new to this. It seems like this entire year I've been seeing videos from top creators in crypto just saying this is like the craziest they've ever seen crypto, and how there's no predicting anything and constant negativity on the timeline. So that's why, coming from someone like me, like I see that and I'm like, okay, well, they've been in crypto for quite a while. It makes a lot of sense. But when you go back to 2021, you're saying it was happening then. It's the same thing as now. Is everyone just wrong?
No, I think one of the differences is, like, as far as the liquidation event, not in Bitcoin itself, but in a bunch of altcoins, that was one of the more severe, even I'd say worse than FTX 1010 was, as far as some of the dips that we saw in alts. That was insane. For Bitcoin, I mean, like, you see this type of stuff happen. It is what it is. But like for alts itself, it was a brutal rinse, man. But yeah, I mean, again, like you can just go through. There have been a lot of, but I mean, there have also been a lot of events where it's like you get literal months of just sideways, months of chop.
Just stop for a second. Wow. Okay, all right there. That was 31K back down to 20 or 18K.
Well, yeah, this was post the Luna US, like this was Luna / UST collapse here in May, right? Starting from there to there, that was the fallout from Luna UST. So you had a few firms that were going, like back in 2022. You had some firms that were going under, some fallout from that was happening in the background. So you had this consolidation right here, distribution. Then right here, this was the beginning of when you saw the 3AC, Celsius. Oh gosh, why am I blanking? But some of the fallout from like 3AC, Celsius, and it's going to come back to me later. But whenever they were falling apart, and guess where? FTX steps in here and they're like, we're going to be the stopgap. We're going to be able to buy these firms, and we're going to be able to make sure that everything is right with everybody. And it'll be okay. So FTX steps in and everybody's like, Sam is our hero. We're okay. We're chopping under 20K. We're going to like be all right, but we're still struggling beneath 20K. Look at how many months of just sideways. When people talk about we haven't seen price action like this before, it's like, bro, it's scattered all over the chart. So much of crypto in general is just being patient, right? Like it is just surviving these periods of boredom where there's really not much else going on to be able to see that upside that eventually comes. So, again, being patient, looks like things are bouncing back. And then what is this one? This is where the FTX collapse happened at the end of 2022. And again, bro, when you're talking about periods of low to no volatility post FTX from like November here to January here,
it was just flat. Yeah,
it was flat. Like, what is the price range of this? I guess 4%. Let's see, 1%. But it's moving just in like this minute range for months before you ended up seeing a recovery. And again, like, get to where we are now.
Wow.
And it's just in another one of those flat ranges. It's like, shit happens, man. But, I just think right now you look at this, BTC did just break out from the downtrend that it's been in, dating back to beginning of October. A lot of volatility in the process of that, but like I don't know.
I mean, this
I
this
think you
is
just
all
ignore
this
the
is all
noise.
helpful because, like, again, to anyone who's just now joining, I'm newer to crypto in general. This show is literally just him helping me also understand certain things and stuff like this. When you see the constant negativity on the timeline, especially someone who's newer like me, like, it's just never positivity, and it makes you feel like you're trapped in this negative cycle, right? But again, I know you guys have been through multiple cycles. Like, I just have never traded during a cycle like this. And previously, all I was doing was buying and accumulating. I wasn't trading, right? And so, yeah. Spudlink says, did we look at Chainlink?
No. No, I haven't.
Just not something
Chainlink
to
is
look
just
at.
perpetually sideways. I don't know. I haven't looked at Chainlink in forever. I'll pull it up real quick. Has it been pumping? I guess it has, like, a little bit over the course of the past day, but most alts kind of have. But Chainlink is just one of those perpetual sideways coins. Now, it was fun. This whole run up was a lot of fun, especially the summer of 2020 when you're talking about DeFi summer. Chainlink has just been, it has been painful for anybody stacking it since. I mean, like a lot of alts, though. But I also look at it, I think there's so many alts that have a similar chart to Chainlink, so many majors, where they have just been accumulating. Like, I don't look at this as a bearish chart, right? I look at this as just like a giant accumulation pattern that is going to end up breaking out higher eventually. I truly do, because Chainlink, you know, there are a lot of dApps that still use it. Like, it is an important oracle within the ecosystem. It eventually, I think, will have a run. When, I don't know, you know, but I think that there's so many of these alts that just have a similar pattern here, where you're seeing constantly just slightly higher lows. You know, this looks clean to me to eventually do something like that. You know, I brought this up the other day with, like, Litecoin, where I think we're one solid Litecoin pump away from the entire timeline going insane. But, like, Litecoin here, I look at this and I'm like, yeah, another one. Like, is it really so crazy after we saw what Zcash did to think that something like Litecoin couldn't end up running it back like this eventually?
But what's the benefit of using Litecoin versus anything else?
Dude, you could go through that argument.
Like, why would Litecoin have that pump?
So, yeah, like this person said earlier, do you even Mimblewimble, bro? It's like, Litecoin is a privacy chain. A lot of people don't recognize it for that. I mean, but it does have a lot of, you know, you're looking at the privacy narrative. I think it's underrated so far and undervalued as far as what's happened with XMR and Zcash. Litecoin, in essence, was basically just created kind of as a meme in a similar structure to Bitcoin. If you're bullish on proof of work coins in general, it is still one of the major proof of work coins out there. It, you know, again, basically, I think that you still look at, like, one of the initial narratives to Litecoin was that it was a silver to Bitcoin's gold. And people have always brought up what you just said right there. Why would you ever buy Litecoin? You know, what is its purpose? And the narrative back in the day, whenever you looked at, like, whenever Litecoin did this, and it was the thing that everybody was talking about in 2017, Litecoin was doing that, and it's got a bigger base. I know there's a chart out there somewhere that I could use that has more history. Maybe this one will.
I guess what I'm saying is, like, why would someone buy Litecoin over Zcash right now?
I mean, again, that's the narrative I think that people always look back to. It's like, pump the unpumped. I'm not saying that, you know, like,
Oh, okay.
If
I
you
gotcha.
well, not it's not just that, but again, let's just look at what the initial narrative was. The silver to Bitcoin's gold, and obviously there are way more competitors back in the day. I could easily see something as stupid of that type of an argument that ends up sending Litecoin back.
Yeah.
Right. I'm just saying, like, you look at these charts, you could argue, well, why would anybody do this over that all day? But I mean, people find a
why
reason.
would people buy GameStop?
Why would people buy Zcash? Like, Zcash was dead and gone for so long. Why would people ever want to like touch Zcash again? The privacy narrative's dead. I mean, why would anybody want to do anything? I think that like what it comes down to is with a lot of these majors, heck, you can look at XRP also. XRP, like, to me, this doesn't look like a bearish chart where people are just, it hit the highs and it's going to collapse down to zero. I look at this and I think that it had a clean break of high time frame resistance. And it's accumulating right beneath the previous all-time highs from the 2017 run. I think we see a leg up higher. I don't know where Rich went. I'm sure he'll be back. I just think so many of these charts right now look primed for whatever that next leg is going to look like.
I'm back.
So, and a lot of these like historic majors are one of the things that I'm looking at right now. I mean, you can look at some of the newer, trendier, and I get Sol is not super new anymore, but like it was for a while. Again, you look at Sol right here. And retested, like, this is what so many of the majors outside of Bitcoin look like, where it just touched or retested somewhere near the previous all-time high, and it's just been accumulating up there ever since. Like, this is why I say I think we are heading into the golden bull run, the super cycle. Like a previous cycle, we'd be down only from here. I think whenever you see a bunch of these alts that start to do something like this, and will it be this year? I hope. But I really think we're going to see this with the majority of these majors. I think that they have positioned themselves for it well before we're going to see anything like this, where everything's just dead and gone.
Malik says, Sol at 20 is the only great thing I have seen since I started. Dude, I'm so hopeful you're correct. Council Wells says, what about CRV? Were you able to hear that?
Yeah, I don't care about Curve. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Did I buy another Care Bear Pingu? I have not. I mean, I'm incredibly bullish on Pingu. Actually, I think I'm going to have the Pingu Asia team. I'm going to do a stream with them sometime next week. So I was talking to Foxy earlier.
You've had Adrian in the chat ask 4 times about Doge now.
Okay, I'll check Doge, and then I'm about to call it here in a bit. Good God, that's painful. I still think that like Doge is going to have that run up. I love to see the pump that it's had so far. It, along with the rest of memes, has pumped. I mean, realistically, Doge anywhere under here, I think is still a solid buy. Like, just keep stacking Doge. My thoughts on it have not changed. I still think we're going to see another run up. I think
was that
Doge
actually
has
where you
potential to be a
called
trillion
it before?
What do you mean?
In 2021, where you said we are here, or did you add that in post?
No, but 2021, I definitely did. Like, I was very bullish on Doge in this area. Like, I'm still very bullish on Doge. So yeah, dude, I still think Doge is going to multiple dollars. All right. Love y'all, but I do need to get going. So going to go ahead and call it for now, but I appreciate you guys, and we will see y'all soon, but be more bullish.
All right. Sounds good. See you guys.